On tonight's show, we cover the deepening crisis concerning the explosive Biden email scandal, how the media mob are censoring conservative voices, some key moments in Trump's rallies, and last night's presidential debate finale. This is the Dr. Jaymz Show. Yes, the laptop is real. The emails are real. And the scandal is not some foreign conspiracy. But if you believe that, you probably still believe that Hillary won the last election. But here's a reality check. After the New York Post published emails recovered from a laptop allegedly owned by Hunter Biden, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff claimed that the information was not legitimate and part of a Russian disinformation scheme. However, Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe, who sees more intelligence than anyone else in the country, was quick to push back against this claim, saying there is no intelligence that supports that.
It is Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, who, as you pointed out on Friday, said that the intelligence community believes that Hunter Biden's laptop and the emails on it are part of some Russian disinformation campaign. Let me be clear. The intelligence community doesn't believe that because there's no intelligence that supports that.
Now, Tony Bobulinski, a recipient of an email published by the New York Post that makes reference to a business deal involving a Chinese company and members of the Biden family, has confirmed the email is genuine and gave more information in a shocking press conference just last night.
On May 2nd, 2017, the night before Joe Biden was to appear at the Milken Conference, I was introduced to Joe Biden by Jim Biden and Hunter Biden. At my approximately hour-long meeting with Joe that night, we discussed the Biden's history, the Biden's family business plans with the Chinese, with which he was plainly familiar, at least at a high level. After that meeting, I had numerous communications with Hunter, Walker, Gilliar, and Jim Biden regarding the allocation of the equity ownership of Sinohawk. On May 13, 2017, I received an email concerning allocation of equity, which says 10% held by H for the big guy. In that email, there's no question that H stands for Hunter, big guy for his father, Joe Biden.
Bobulinski also claims Hunter frequently referenced his dad, asking him for his sign-off or advice on various potential deals that they were discussing. But here's how the plot thickens. Bobulinski was also an institutional investor recruited by the Biden family to run their joint venture with the now bankrupt CEFC China Energy Company. Now here's where the story really gets bad for the Democrats. According to an email he received dated May 15, 2017, Bobulinski claims remuneration packages were discussed for other key domestic contacts in the business deal, which include, now wait for it, Senator Kamala Harris, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Senator Dianne Feinstein, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, among others. Folks, this is a scale of corruption bigger than Watergate, bigger than what happened under Bill Clinton's desk. Most of all, these people are senators. Now, the latest is that the Senate Homeland Security and Finance Committee will be investigating the Biden emails. But here's the thing, that's a little like a detective investigating his own crimes. Meanwhile, we reached out to sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe Biden for a response on Hunter's laptop and emails. But needless to say, he didn't answer. So we imagine what his response might look like.
You know, the rapidly rising I don't know.
Oh, where was I? Oh, yes. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, Hunter Biden's laptop has also been linked to a money laundering probe. The FBI allegedly subpoenaed the laptop in 2019, signed by FBI Special Agent Joshua Wilson and verified by multiple law enforcement and government officials. The fact that the FBI have known about this since 2019 raises a whole series of questions about the credibility of the FBI. Are there different tiers of justice, one for the Bidens and one for the rest of us? One for elites who are well connected and another for everybody else? So there we have it. In short, the Bidens put America's foreign interests up for sale and arranged for other corrupt liberals to take in millions from foreign entities, even from communist-controlled China. This surely is the biggest pre-election story of our time, and still the liberal media mob refuse to fully cover it. So how long can this continue? Not only are the liberal media mob covering up for the Bidens, they're also censoring conservative voices. Now, this isn't something new. They have a history of doing this. Last year, Danielle Steller, a Republican candidate who was running against Democrat Representative Ilhan Omar, was permanently banned from Twitter for making an allegation against her. In May of this year, Twitter temporarily banned conservative activist Candace Owens after criticizing a policy of Michigan's Democrat governor Gretchen Whitmer. And just last week, both Facebook and Twitter limited the spread of the New York Post's Hunter Biden story. And 3 days ago, Charlie Kirk tweeted a misleading Pennsylvania ballot story, but instead of simply deleting his post, Twitter suspended his account.
Why should Twitter have the power to be able to silence my entire 1.8 million person audience just because a news story changes and I tweeted something that was absolutely and completely widely reported at the time?
So why are executives at Twitter and Facebook abusing their corporate power to silence conservative voices, including censoring the press to cover up allegations of corruption? For 2 reasons. Number one, they want a monopoly over the dissemination of information. That's right, they want to control the narrative. And number two, they want to silence any free speech, including your free speech, if it contradicts their partisan views. But their censorship is a direct assault on the right of free speech of millions of conservatives, an assault which could affect the presidential election. And that's what they want. They know that if crooked Biden wins, they will ultimately gain more power. But if President Trump wins, he will end up curbing their powers. In fact, just last week, President Trump ironically took to Twitter to allege that social media companies are discriminating against prominent conservatives, then warned, "We won't let that happen." In our next segment, we cover the Trump rallies. The last week, Trump's been busy conducting rallies in battleground states like Nevada, Florida, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina. Trump views these states as the linchpin of his campaign, and they've been attracting massive crowds, which you don't often see in the lamestream media. Now take a look. Meanwhile, even though Joe Biden's outspending Trump 2-1 with a campaign budget of, get this, $400 million, has managed to muster up about as much people as you would expect to find at a bus stop. I mean, even Biden's supporters are embarrassed by his anemic campaigns compared to President Trump's rallies. Despite Trump's massive popularity, my favorite clip from all his rallies is not the big crowd shots, but the part where he truly acknowledged who really is the boss and most famous person in the world.
Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ." And let me look up and I'll say, and it's not even close. Masks, no masks, everything, you can do all you want, but you know, you still need help from the boss. We need help from the boss. That's what happened.
Well, I've got to say, Trump got that one right. And yes, to all those doubters out there, Trump is a man of faith. just like President Ronald Reagan was, who believed in Jesus Christ and the Bible. Trump is now doing the same, lifting up the only name that matters, the only name that saves, Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And yes, we all need his help in our lives, whether it be forgiveness from sins, healing from our sicknesses, provision in our finances, or protection from the virus. The Bible says, whoever calls on the name of the Lord Jesus shall be saved. Now for our last segment. Last night we saw the final presidential debate. There were 4 takeaways that were catastrophic for Biden. The first was about his 1994 crime bill.
That you supported in the 80s and 90s contributed to the incarceration of tens of thousands of young black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, their fathers, their uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change the since then, particularly the portion on cocaine.
Now that's the biggest cop-out I've ever heard. While he admitted it was a mistake, he tried to blame it on the senators who signed the crime bill. The truth is, it was Biden who drafted the catastrophic 1994 crime bill. It was Biden who pushed it through the Senate with his phony tough on crime rhetoric that led a wave of mass incarceration among blacks, resulting in the U.S. accounting for, get this, 25% of the world's prison population. Secondly, he had 8 years to put it right as VP under Obama, but never did. Now, the second takeaway is when Biden said he never opposed fracking.
Never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on tape.
I did. Show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is
Showed
he's
it last
flat lying.
Show you the clip? Well, Joe, if you insist.
No more, no new fracking.
We are going to get rid of fossil fuels.
Well, like, what about, say, stopping fracking and stopping new pipe?
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out.
Now, here's what he said about shutting down the entire oil industry in America.
Would you close down the oil
By
industry?
the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond. And then
Ohio.
The fourth and final takeaway was when Trump challenged Biden on immigration concerning cages that were built not by Trump, but by Obama when Biden was vice president.
And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to
cages.
reunite the kids
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on
families?
it we're trying very hard.
And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every notion of who we are as a nation.
let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
they
to that?
They did it. We changed.
did not
They built the
separate
cages.
they-
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about.
Now, this is rich coming from Biden. He essentially is complaining about what he and Obama did. That really is the pot calling the kettle black. And just to emphasize this point, we made a little jingle just so you can remember it.
Who built the cages, Joe? Who built the cages, Joe? Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages, Joe? Who built the cages, Joe?
To prevent America from being run by corrupt politicians who put America's foreign interests up for sale, to defend free speech, to protect the American dream and its economy, resulting in prosperity for all. Make sure you get out and vote on November the 3rd.
Who built the cages, Joe? Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about
Who
what
built
we're
the
talking
cages, Joe? Who built the cages, Joe? Who built
the cages, yo?
Let's talk about
Who built the cages, yo? Who built the cages, yo?